Hello again. Welcome you into our home and our hearts. And this is the ministry of the Outside the Camp Ministries. I'm Brother Casey Israel. This is Brother Stacy Israel. Because I said that because this is Black History Month. And we're going to have to go a little deeper to truly see your history, because you've only been taught what folks want you to know, that you were slaves all your lives, and that your history basically starts and stops here a couple of hundred years ago, and that you are Africans, so-called, the ones that were brought here as slaves, so-called Negro. Because Africans know they're not who they are. We don't know who we are. If you ask a native of Africa, where does he come from, he won't tell you Africa. He'll tell you, I'm from Ghana. I'm from Tanzania. I'm from Ethiopia. He doesn't say he's from Africa. Africa's a continent. You ask a Gentile, a Caucasian, where he's from, a European, where he's from, he won't say, I'm a European. He'll say, I'm Italian, I'm a German, I am British, I'm French. You ask us where we're from, we're going to say we're Africans, because we don't know. Because our history has been lost. Our history has been hidden. And through this series on Black history, the name of this series is Black History According to Moses, the Psalms, and the Prophets, all the way through the Apostles. This Bible here is your history, the so-called Negro, but you are Israel. And we're going to ask you to open your hearts up, those who have not heard this before, because it's not taught in your churches, but we're going to teach it right out of the Bible. And it's not that we're any better than any other so-called race. It's just the truth. And if you want to know the truth, the Bible is the truth. We're not going to read anything into it. We're just going to read the book. We're going to go from history books to prove it. We're going to show you pictures and other things to get your mind off of what you've seen on TV or in the movies, where the Egyptians were white, with Charlton Heston was an Israelite, was Moses. Those are false. Those were false. So we started a couple weeks ago. I taught on the dividing of the nations, to give you a little insight. And I showed you last week the more sure word of prophecy, where the scriptures, how the scriptures are unfolded to you, line by line, precept by precept, here a little, there a little. So when we get to this, we have a little background. But we're going to start back off in Genesis chapter 10. And we're going to start in verse 1, again, to the scattering of the nations. Because even from Adam on down, we're going to see, and we'll trust to be able to show you that you've heard about it, the cradle of civilization was in Africa. Well, that's true. That was the birth of civilization, but they were black. Don't be offended, and don't be so proud. But the scriptures are going to teach these things, and the Lord is no respecter of persons, brother. He don't love. If you believe in Him and trust Him and obey Him, He will allow you into His kingdom. He will save you and deliver you from these times that are coming on. But in verse 1, go ahead and read, brother.
The book of Genesis, chapter 10, verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Now see, these are generations of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Those were the 3 sons of Noah. Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Now after the flood, unto them were sons born. Because if you got breath, you came out of one of these guys. Shem, Ham, or Japheth. Now Japheth was the elder or the oldest son. Go ahead and read.
Verse 2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madiah, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rithphah, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodman. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations.
So, see, to be a Gentile is not whether you a Jew or not. It's a lineage. And they settled up after their own tongues, after their families, in their own nation. Now, I'm going to just read some of this to you here. Gomer. Gomer was first the Cimmerians. They settled up the Celtics, the Gaels of Ireland and Scotland. They were described by Homer as dwelling in a remote place of gloom north of the Black Sea. That's what Gomer. Magog is the father of the Magorites. The Greeks called them Scythians. Madai is the father of the Medes. They settled in southern Caspian. And they united with Persia to become one race, Medo-Pers. Then Jubal, Josephus, a first century historian, identified them with the early Ibeans, or Georgia, up in Georgia in southern Russia. They settled up in those areas. Tyrus, the Thracians, they settled up in north of Turkey, Asia Minor, northeast of Greece. Ashkenaz, they formed the Germanic race. And out of them came the Lombards, the Burgundians, the Franks, the Saxons, the Angles, that's where you get Anglo-Saxon from. Ostrogoths, Vandals, that's where you get the word Vandalize. The Visigoths, the Jates, the Suez, these 10 barbarous tribes settled all over Western Europe. These are Japheth's children. That's where they settled at. The Europeans, see? Now, let's go to verse 6. Let's look at verse 6.
Verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut.
Now wait a minute. Hold right there. Now these are Ham's sons. The first name we saw, you're pretty familiar with, is Cush. Cush was your Ethiopian. Cushites. Now, Cush means burnt face. They would call them the burnt face. It was like a slang term. See? Because when they went and they saw them, they said, wow, these people are black. They got faces, burnt faces. Then, the next name you read was Mizraim. Now, Mizraim was changed, the name was changed to Egypt. Cush, Mizraim was born after Cush, Noah's grandson. See, Noah was black. Cush was black. Mizraim is your Egyptian. They were black. We're going to show you these things. This is where you get your Egyptian from. Now, keep on reading, bro.
And Phut and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Sebel, and Hebelah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Septachah, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Okay. And verse 8.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Now Cush begat Nimrod. Now remember, now Nimrod wasn't black. He came out of Ham. The Hamites were black. We're going to show you these things. This is history. History will teach you these things also. So he begat Nimrod, who began to be a mighty warrior. He was not before God. Or in other words, he stood in rebellion before God. See? Because he built the city of Babel, where all those gods came from. Start in verse 10 and read.
Verse 10, in the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and in the land of Shinar.
Go to verse 14 and read.
Verse
Now
14.
Shinar is Babylon, but go to 14.
And Petharusim, and Kaluhim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caperton.
Now Philistine is your Philistines. Philistines, who, remember how Israel would battle against the Philistines? Because it was one black against black. Goliath was a Philistine. That was David, a small black man fighting a large black man. See? So, go ahead down to verse 18 through 20.
Verse 18, and the Arbadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward with the families of the Canaanites spread abroad.
Now the Canaanites, when Abraham was said to go into that, I give you all that land. They were Hamites. They were black people. See? And the Canaanites. Abraham was in there. Abraham was not a Hamite. Abraham was Shem's, of the line of Shem. You get Sodom and Gomorrah, they were Hamites. If you read verse, verse 19.
And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as though thou comest to Gerar, or to Gaza.
So Sodom and Gomorrah and Gaza. You see that land over there? You see Gaza over there, Gaza Straits, they fighting over. They were black people. Man. They're not the color of the day because there's been a scattering of Israel to the four corners of the earth. They were driven out of there and replaced. But we're going to look at all that during this series. So, that next verse reads what? 20.
Verse 20. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
So the Hamites settled all up in that, what you call the so-called Middle East, Egypt, all around there. See? But they were displaced. So we're gonna look at all this. We're gonna take our time and do this study. You're gonna have to put your patient scripture hat on and learn this. If you biblical scholars and you folks who don't know your history, and everybody needs to understand these things because it's in the book. So let's go down to verse 21 and read.
Verse 21.
Now Shem is your youngest son. Read.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born.
Now go down to verse 31. Now go to verse 31 and 32 and read that.
Verse 31. These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues and their land, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations in their nations, and by these was the nation divided in the earth after the flood.
Yeah, after the flood, because they after the flood they were divided. See, everybody is out one of those. Now, I only read part about Shem because I'm gonna read a little more. But chapter 11 it tells you how they tried to build a tower up to heaven, and the Lord came down and confounded them. And they all were speaking different languages, and then he scattered them. The record of chapter 11 is chapter 10 is after chapter 11, chronologically speaking. See, so, but we're going to go down to verse 10 and read verse 10 of chapter 11.
The book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 10. These are the generation of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
Now, Shem, go down to verse 25 and read. I'll make my comment after that.
Verse 25. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters.
Read.
And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran.
Now Abraham's name was changed to Abraham. Now Nahor is his brother and Haran is his brother. I want you to remember that. Now they came out of Shem. We got to find out who Shem is, who Abram is. And we're going to see it. Go ahead and read.
Now these are the generation of Terah.
Terah is Abraham's father. Go ahead.
Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran begat Lot.
Now Haran was Lot's father. These were all black folks. We're going to show you this. Go ahead.
And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in the Ur of Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah.
So Milcah and Sarah all came out of Shem. They all were black. Now, we're going to say, well, how do you know that, Brother Casey? Well, we'll get to that. Okay? But the reason that they started with Shem and his generations after that is because Shem, even though being the youngest, he is the reason for the book. Because Israel came out of Shem. So that's why they jumped to Shem here and showed his generations. Now, let's go to Genesis 16. We're going to start at verse 3 of chapter 16. Go ahead and read.
The book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian.
Now Hagar is an Egyptian. All right? Remember that. Go ahead.
After Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Right. So she despised them. See, because, she got real cocky. You know how women are. So I got, you could have a baby. I got his baby, And so he mocks her. But this was not going to be the promised seed. So when she saw she was despised, she said, she did with a hard, and told her, ran out of the place. Now, go to verse 9 and 10 and read.
Verse 9. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hand.
Talking to Hagar, the Egyptian, go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy
Read on, brother.
And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Ishmael was born of Hagar. Now, when a black man or a Gentile or a Hamite, the seed comes from the man. The woman births the seed. Whatever the man was, the seed is going to be the same, because every seed is after its own kind, brother. So, the child it's going to have is going to be what the father was. If I have an orange field, if I came in from California and brought me some orange plants, and they got crops around here, rice crops, cotton crops, I live in the South, and planted that orange tree, orange seeds in the cotton field. Would I get cotton? No. I'd get oranges. Because every seed is after its kind. The same thing with man and a woman. So, where we at?
Just read verse 12.
What chapter we in? 16?
Yes.
We read verse 12?
Yes.
Go to verse 15 and read.
Verse 15. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son name, which Hagar bare Ishmael.
Ishmael. Now Ishmael, I'm gonna make it short. It's the father of your Arabian tribes, Philistines, all the guys over in the Middle East. They are Ishmaelites. The Palestinians are Ishmaelites. See? So now let's go to. Let me show you something here. You see this picture here? Read that, brother, on that. Let me start reading. This was taken out of the tomb in the pyramids, and this caption. Read that caption that's up under there.
An Egyptian slave endures a flogging in this fresco formed from a tomb of the New Kingdom. The number of slaves in Egypt increased dramatically during the New Kingdom, 1570 through 1085 BC. As a result of foreign conquest, the Israelite was enslaved during this period.
These are your Egyptians. They're just like that. They're black. This is an Israelite being beaten. Black on black. See, because they were enslaved at that time. Now, this is off the tomb, brother. Hand me that up there, brother. Up there. Hand me that up there. Can you get it? Hand me those two pictures. All of them. Bring them all down. One. Now, see that? That came out of the tomb just like that. You know who that is? That's King Tutankhamun and his wife. See, Tutankhamun's tomb came out of his tomb, brother. That's your Egyptian pharaoh. What color is he? Black. Let me have them other two. I've been showing that Israel is bondage in Egypt. I've been seeing it all the time. When y'all turn it, when y'all look, when y'all check us out. Now, remember in Charlton Heston, in that movie, The Ten Commandments, when Charlton Heston was Moses, and his father's name was Seti? This is Seti right here. That's Seti. What color is he? That's from the tomb of Seti, brother. S-E-T-I, right there. Tomb of Seti. See?
Black.
Black. You got that? Look at that face. Give me that other one when you get a chance. Now these are your Egyptians. Now, you see these two guys? They were the two sons of Ramses. What was Moses' brother's name? What did he call himself?
Ramesses.
In the movie?
Ramesses.
Ramesses?
Yeah.
Well, that's Charlton Heston and Yul Brynner right there. What color are they? Right.
Black.
They're black. See, our history's been hidden, but the Bible shows it up to you, man. But you gotta even go back and search history. We got records to teach us these things, but we don't know about. We just go to church and somebody jumps up and tell you a nice story and you think you learned something. No. This is history. Oh, it's history. No, it's history. It's world history, man. So now let's go to where we drop off at. Genesis 16.
Yes.
Hagar and Ishmael. Okay, let's go to Genesis chapter 21. Verse 2.
The book of Genesis, chapter 21, verse 2.
Yeah.
For Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at that set time at which God spoke to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, Isaac.
Isaac. Now Isaac comes forth. Israel was about 12 years old at this time. But Isaac is the promised seed because she couldn't have no child, and he told her Sarah's going to bear a child. Earlier, I would have read that to you, but I'm not concerned with that right now. We're teaching a subject that, if any, I'm going to stick to the subject. So, keep on reading, brother.
Verse 4. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, being 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
Right. When he was 100 years old when she was born, his seed, he had no more seed. Sarah's womb had been was dead. I tell you that in Romans chapter 4. But he believed in hope, against all hope, that what God had promised, he was able to perform, being fully persuaded. So he received the promise seed, Isaac. So, now, let's go to verse 10 and read. Now, again, the child grew, and Sarah gave him a feast, and Hagar the Egyptian was still mocking him because Ishmael was the firstborn. Now, in her head, she figured, my son gonna get the firstborn, even though you not got 100 years old. Ishmael is the firstborn. But God had a plan, brother. Go ahead and read.
Verse 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac.
Right. And Galatians tell you the same thing. Paul quotes this scripture. But go ahead and read.
Verse 11. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. And all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Right. See, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Now we're going to show you all that stuff. But go ahead and read.
And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
Right. So he made a nation out of Ishmael. If I said all those folks over there in the Middle East, they're Ishmael's children. They came out of Ishmael, the seed of Ishmael. Verse 18.
Verse 18. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him in thy hand.
She kicked Hagar out, and the angel met Hagar on the road in the wilderness. He said, rise, lift the lad, because she afraid of God. And so this is Abraham's son. So he's going to take care of him still. But this is why you hear Muslims and Islam, I'll say, well, Abraham is our father. You ever hear him say that? Yeah, he is. He is their father. But they're not Israel. They were of Isaac. They were Ishmael. The land don't belong to them. The land belongs to the seed. See? And they over there talking about the land belongs to them. And we over here don't even know that the land belongs to us. Because it's been hidden. So, go ahead and read.
Verse 19. And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the bottom with water and gave the lad drink. And God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt.
So he married a black woman. He was black, he married another black woman. And now remember, this guy was going to be the wild man. And he's always fighting against his brethren. Ain't they doing that over there? Blowing themselves up, killing everybody. You know, brother, fighting against. See, so they got a nation, but they didn't get Israel. The land of Canaan was given to Israel. All that was given to Abraham and his seed. But verse 22.
Verse 22. And it came to pass at that time that Amalek and Philco, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, God is...
No, I'm sorry. We don't need to read any more of that. Let's go to so Ishmael married an Egyptian. Let's go to Genesis 24. Verse 3 and 4.
The book of Genesis, chapter 24, begin at verse 3. And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughter of the Canaanites among whom I dwell.
This is Abraham sending his servant out for a wife for his son Isaac. And he said, don't take one of the Canaanites now. Because they're going to be thorns in their side and their eyes. Because they serving other gods. He said, don't take them from them people. Go ahead.
But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac.
Yeah, but go to my country, go to my kindred. Who's out of Shem. And take her to a wife. But don't take the Canaanites who's out of Ham. See? So, what verse is that again?
Verse 4.
Go down to verse 14 and read.
Verse 14.
Because his servant has said, well, look, if the devil will come and she do certain things, I know she's the one, Lord. And so, verse 14, go ahead and read.
And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac. And thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, before he had done speaking that, behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, with her pitcher upon her shoulder. And
now Nahor was Abraham's brother. His father was Terah. So Rebekah is of Nahor. Same color, black. So Rebekah is a black woman. Isaac is black. He's going to marry Rebekah, and they're going to have children. So, let's go to verse 15. No, we don't need to read that. Let's go to Genesis chapter 25, verse 12.
Book of Genesis 25, verse 12. Now these are the generation of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham.
Go ahead.
And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajah,
1,
and Kedar,
2,
and Akhil,
3,
and Mipsam,
4,
and Mishma,
5,
and Dumah,
6,
and Massa,
7,
Hadar,
8,
and Tema,
9,
Jetur,
10,
Naphish,
11,
and Kethamah.
12. 12 sons of Ishmael also. Isaac had 12 sons also, called the 12 tribes of Israel. The Lord was fair with both of them. But, and Isaac was a seed comer.
Yes.
See there? Verse 16, read.
Verse 16, these are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nations.
Right. They were 12 mighty people. They were princes in the earth. Didn't the Lord bless Hagar too? See? Even though he done the promised seed, but they turn on Ishmael always taunted and mocked Isaac, even to the day. Still mocking Israel. They want to kill them all. Iran, Iraq, they want to kill them. And that's their land. But that's our land, and that's a replacement guy over there saying he a Jew. But go to verse 19 and read.
Verse 19, and these are the generation of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Hadaram, the sister of Laban, the Syrian.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together with her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Right. 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people. But they shall be separated when they get
From thy bowels.
their bowels. Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Now the elder was always to receive the inheritance. That's why Sarah and Ishmael was mocking Isaac, because Ishmael was the firstborn. But the Lord's plan was with Sarah, not with Hagar. He said, "It's Sarah, she shall be, and Isaac shall I see become. Sarah thy wife shall bring forth a child." And he gave him a token. See? And the true token was Isaac. It came forth. So, because Abraham never saw Israel, he never saw a nation grow out of the womb, but Isaac was the token. See that? Now, so go ahead and finish reading.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
Esau. Wait a minute. Here, the first, they were twins. But you got identical twins and you got regular twins. The regular,
Paternal twins.
yeah, paternal twins. And one came out red and hairy, and they named him Esau. Esau means red. Why did not they describe Jacob? Well, they didn't have to. Everybody was black. No need to tell them that Jacob was black. You should probably know that. Jacob was black. But they point out Esau was red and hairy. Now, here's a picture of two children brought to burn to some white folks, white couple, and one's black and one's white. See that? Right. So, one was red hair, but the other one was black. That's Jacob. Because he was born, his parents was black. Now, it didn't say Esau came out white, they say it was red and hairy. We used to have a brother, we have among us who are Negroes, Israelites, we have folks who we call Red. Hey, Big Red, what's going on, man? How you doing, Red? Because his skin is red. See? So, red and hairy. But Jacob didn't need to be described because his parents were black. No. Because they married Egyptians. They didn't marry any Canaanites because they didn't want to deal with them the gods. And let's go to Genesis. Now I'm going to go. So in the meantime, the inheritance was to go to Esau. But so the father asked Esau to go get him some venison, like savory meat, like he did. And while he went to get the savory meat, his mother heard because the Lord told Rebekah what was going to happen. Now the father didn't know. See, and he said the elder will serve the youngest. And when the father told him to go, because I'm going to bless you and give you your inheritance, Esau came back after being out for a little while, and he said, "I'm starving. What good is this birthright?" He sold it to Isaac. To Jacob for some venison, for some stew. He had just been out all day. He wasn't starving. He was just, you come on, "Well, I'm starving, man. I don't care about this. Yeah, I'll sell it to you." But he didn't have any intentions on really selling it to him. But I don't want to go through all this today because you can read about that story later on. Well, the name of this first part of the series is called Color. This is what we're looking for. We're not looking to tell you all the things that happened. Y'all can go to other teachers we got to find out about that. So, but I will go to Genesis 25, right?
Yes.
Let's go to Genesis 27. Now, that's when he was going to give them an inheritance. I'm not going to even read about that. I'm going to read Romans 9 real quick. Let's go to Romans 9. This is a quick summary. It'll get you right up to where I'm at. But Paul summarized it beautifully in Romans 9. Stay with us. We ain't doing no jump up and holler. We ain't trying to entertain you. We're trying to teach you. I'm sharing this. I'm just sharing this with you. Take it and study it. Open your mind. See it. Romans 9, verse 1. Read.
The book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 1. I say the truth in Christ. I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Spirit. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were cursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
Oh, let's see who Paul's kinsmen was according to the flesh. Go ahead.
Who are Israelites.
Who are what? Israelites, not Gentiles. Israelites. Paul was an Israelite out of the tribe of Benjamin. He was called a Jew because they had settled up in Judah and Benjamin. When the two tribes came, got from Babylon, and they settled down there in the south part, where Jerusalem was. The 10 tribes went to northern Assyrian captivity. That's why he the lost tribes of Israel. We're going to take a look at those. So you had Israel and Judah because they got split up. So Paul was a Benjamite, but keep on reading.
Verse 4. Who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption, and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of God, and the promises.
Because we are the priests of God, people, but we didn't do our job. So we got kicked out of the land, and then everybody was taught by someone else who was not the priest. See? But keep on reading.
Verse 5, who are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, who is over all, God blessed forever.
Uh-oh. You mean Christ came through the flesh? Yes, Christ was of Abraham's seed, brother. That's right. And we're going to show you why he went into Egypt instead of Rome. Why he was told to go to Egypt and hide instead of Rome. Because Egypt had not been conquered. They had not been displaced yet. And so he was to hide among a people that he could hide among. They were under Roman providence. Why didn't he tell them to go to Italy and hide? Because they were sticking like a sore thumb. Because Herod was killing all the children 2 years and older. So he had to hide among the people that way he looked like, where he could just blend in. Where he could just blend in. Think about it. No matter all the pictures you see, just like you see in the 10 Commandments, brother. But that's not the important part of what God's color is. It's not that's the concern, but it's truth. And in order to be able to put these scriptures together, you have to understand who the people really are. Because the people of Israel are not going to come into the land until the Lord comes back. And David and everyone else will be in the land. It will be in the resurrection. He's going to gather them from the four corners of the earth. Those are another teachings, but I'm not going to teach that right now. So, keep on reading, brother.
Verse 6. Not as though the word of God had taken none effect, for God had taken none effect, for they are not all Israel which are Israel.
Go ahead.
Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Just because you're Israel, that don't mean you are Israel. See, in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Now, you may be a Hebrew or a Shemite, but you're not an Israelite. See? Go ahead.
Verse 8. That is, they which are the children of the flesh These are not the children of the God, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed.
See there? Go ahead.
For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac. For the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to the election might stand, not of works, but of him that called it.
See, God purposed all that. God purposed Isaac to be his son. God purposed Jacob to be the inheritor. See, all that was purpose of God. And Rebekah heard that. That's why she did all that, what you think was connivery. But it really wasn't. It was God working his purpose in her. Go ahead and read. 12.
Verse 12. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
Yes, sir. Oh, God don't hate. Well, that's what he said. He hated Esau. Well, that don't mean hate. What does it mean? Let it read. Read the next verse.
What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid.
Right. Because he'll have mercy on whom he will have mercy. It was his plan and purpose. We can't change it. What we go? Genesis 29. Genesis 29.
The book of Genesis chapter 29.
Go ahead and read. Psalm 29, verse 1.
Verse 1. Then Jacob went out on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field. And lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth. And thither.
Wait, is that 29?
I think he was on verse 4.
So there's 27, verse 1 and 4. Yeah, go to 1. Yeah. Go to 4, right. Where we started? We're in 27?
No, we're in 29.
Did we go to 27?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, 29, verse 4, right.
The book of Genesis chapter 29, verse 4. And Jacob said unto them, my brethren, whence be ye? And they said, of Haran are we. And he said unto them, know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, we know him.
Now this is Jacob. And he's running away from Esau. Because Esau want to kill him. Now, the son of Nahor, who is Nahor? Abraham's brother, remember? Go ahead, read verse 6.
Verse 6, and he said unto them, is he well? And they said, he is well, and behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep.
Now here come Rachel, his daughter. Go ahead and read.
And he said, lo, it is yet nigh high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them.
Verse 10.
Verse 10. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban.
Now Laban was his mother's brother who was black. See? Laban's black. Jacob's black. See? Rachel is black. Now they end up getting married because Jacob loved him. But old Laban played a trick on Jacob and said, got him drunk, promised him Rachel, and then while he was drunk, he slipped Leah in on him because Leah was the firstborn and she hadn't been married yet. And so once you have intercourse, you didn't have to have no ceremony. That represented marriage because you made a covenant. Because once you break, what's that they call that woman? The hymen, and that blood touches that penis, that's a blood covenant, people. You married. You married before God. See? But that's why he calls the nation a people of adulterers and adulteresses. Because we've had so many men and women, how many men you have? I mean, you see what I'm saying? We grew up in a society that promotes promiscuity, people. You see it on TV. Let alone it promotes every evil thing you can imagine. I'm not going to get into that right now, but let's go down to verse, what verse we in? So he married his daughter. Now, let's go down to verse 15 and read.
Verse 15. And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall thy wages be?
So he wanted Rachel. When he gave her Leah, when he got drunk, but I don't want to go through all that. But Laban got together all his men and made a feast. And then Leah, he stuck Leah there that night. And it came to pass, verse 25, read.
Verse 25. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this that thou hast done unto me? Did not I serve with thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me?
He beguiled him, see, but okay. We're going on to verse 29.
Verse 29. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid.
Verse 32.
Verse 32. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben.
Reuben. That's the elders of the firstborn of the 12 tribes. Reuben.
Yes.
See, now the 12 tribes are going to come forth out of black folks, people.
Yes.
Go down to verse 33 and read.
Verse 33. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called.
Simeon is a tribe of Israel. They're black. They're coming out of black folks. Now, verse 34.
34. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I bore him 3 sons, therefore was his name called Levi.
Levi, Moses' father was of the seed of Levi. Black. Why do you think Moses was hid in Pharaoh's house, people? We're going to see all this. But isn't that amazing? Just think about it. Just, if you don't want to read, just do it and just entertain yourself. Okay, these are all black. Now it's going to start to fit. See? We go to verse 34. Yeah, 35.
Verse 35. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now would I praise the Lord, therefore she called his name Judah and left barren.
Judah?
No, he black.
They black. That's the tribe our Lord came out of, was Judah, people. That's why they hid him in Egypt. Where Hagar people, Ishmael's people was. Ain't that something? Egypt only recently has been separated out through the Suez Canal. But Egypt was a part of Africa, was a part of the Canaan. All that land was together. So, you can go through Genesis 30 and you can see all that, but I'm not going, for time's sake, I'm not going to read that. It's just going to repeat, it's going to show you those tribes, how they coming forth. How they coming forth out of Jacob's loins. But remember, the seed belongs to the male. Now, let's go to Genesis 32. Verse 24.
The book of Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
So he wrestled with his angel, and you go read it, but I'm not going to cover this today. Like I said, I'm just interested in my point I'm trying to make, the book is making. So verse 27, go ahead and read.
Verse 27, he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince for a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed.
Yes, that's where Jacob was adopted by God and changed his name to Israel. God doesn't procreate, he adopts his children, people. This is the adoption. Remember the adoption pertained to Israel? We read that in Romans chapter 9. See? Ain't that something? So, this is Israel. This is where the 12 tribes of Israel came out of. Jacob, man. Black folks. Black folks. And they went into Egypt and hid. Lord went into Egypt and hid. But we're going to keep on rolling for time's sake. Let's go to Genesis 37. Let's go look at Joseph. Now Joseph, read verse 1.
The book of Genesis chapter 37 verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generation of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Now Bilhah was the daughters, they were the tribes of Dan and Naphtali. Zilpah was out of Gad and Asher. I'm going to show you these things. I'm not going to show you those things now, but anyway, Joseph dreamed a dream that his brothers would come make obeisance to him. And they got mad and said, what do you think we're going to make obeisance to you? Even his father was going to make obeisance to him. And so they decided to get rid of the lad because they got jealous of him. And they took him, verse 24, they were going to slay him. No, start at 20 and read.
The book of Genesis chapter 37 verse 20. Come now therefore and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
So, verse 22, and Reuben said unto them, shed no blood. Reuben, the eldest. Now, 26, and Judah said unto his brother. See, now these are the boys plotting to get rid of him. Now, so, what they said in verse 27, go ahead.
Verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh, and his brethren were content.
Verse 28.
Verse 28. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt.
That's how Joseph went into Egypt. And he rose up to be a great man in Egypt. Pharaoh blessed him because he interpreted his dreams. And Joseph brought all his brethren into Egypt because he didn't bring them into Egypt. They came there because there was famine in the land. They came there seeking bread because he had interpreted that scripture, the dream, 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. And so during the famine, it was in there, and everybody was coming to Egypt to buy food. So, in Genesis 42, verse 2 and 3.
The book of Genesis chapter 42, beginning at verse 2. And he said, behold.
Now this is Joseph. His 10 brothers went down to buy corn, verse 3, and it said, oh, go ahead.
Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither, and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother of Jacob, sent not with his brethren. For he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan.
Canaan, Hamites. Egyptians, Hamites, Mizraim. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
Just like that dream, just like he interpreted the dream, just like he dreamed. But go ahead and read.
Verse 7. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself stranger to them, and spake roughly unto them, and said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan, to buy food.
Right, read.
And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not.
Right. They knew him not. Why? Because he looked like an Egyptian. He was dressed like an Egyptian. He was black like an Egyptian, but he recognized them. They called him Lord. Now, I ain't gonna go in there. Now, Jacob had made Joseph promise once they all came in there, made him promise that he would bury him in his land where he came, in the land of Canaan, where his father Abraham was. So, through those years, they were not slaves in the land of Goshen. Joseph was taken care of. They didn't come into captivity until later, slavery until later, after Joseph died. When another king rose up who was not Joseph. That's another teaching for another time. But we're going to go to Genesis chapter 50, verse 1.
The book of Genesis chapter 50, beginning in verse 1. And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physician, to embalm his father. And the physician embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him. For so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptian mourned for him 70 days.
Go ahead.
And when the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, And now I have found grace in your eyes. Speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying.
So he asked him, let him go and bury his father. And then the Pharaoh said, go up and bury thy father. And verse 7, go ahead.
And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went
Where did he go to? The land of Canaan now. The Hamites. Go ahead.
Went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph, and his brethren, and his father's house.
So there was Joseph and all his family, and so the Egyptians and Israelites going up together. Go ahead. They went with chariots. And verse 10, read.
Verse 10, and they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very solemn lamentation, and he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
Verse 11.
And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptian, wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim,
Wait a minute.
which is beyond Jordan.
Wait a minute. Abel what?
Mizraim.
It means the mourning of the Egyptians. Mizraim, I told you, was another name for Egypt. But they said these Egyptians have a great one. But wait a minute, Israelites was with them too. Mm-hmm. Why did they call them everybody Egyptian? Because they all looked alike. They all dressed alike. Just like we over here, we dress here. That's why they were all called Egyptian, people. Because all of them looked like Egyptian. All the same color. Ain't that something? Now, let's go to Exodus chapter 1. Here's Moses. When they were trying to, when they came in there, when Israel came into Egypt, there arose another one, king that do not.
Another Pharaoh.
Another Pharaoh that do not, Joseph. Verse 1. Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came to Egypt. And then they go and name all of them. And it said that Joseph died and all his brethren, all that generation. Now verse 8, read.
Chapter 1 or 2?
Chapter 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
Remember I told you that? And now he put them in hard bondage. Now this new one, but when Joseph was alive, they lived very graciously under Pharaoh. So they afflicted him, and they got scared up because they multiplied. Israelites multiplied, and they outnumbered the Egyptians, and they were scared they were overthrown. So Pharaoh put an order to kill all the children, the firstborn. The one was 2 years old, and so go down to verse 16 and read.
Verse 16, and he said, When ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Why? Why just kill the son? Because the seed is after the man. But you can kill a man off, and the son, if you can have an Egyptian wife, Israelite wife, Egyptian man, but the son gonna be Egyptian. Because every seed's after his kind. They may look alike, but they're different seeds. Hebrew women, different. Now, they didn't do it, and so Moses was hid. You know that. But verse 1, read. Chapter 2.
The book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 1. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi, and the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him, that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
Now, she hid him. The old bulrush. And moved on down, and Pharaoh's daughter saw him. And then she opened it. And verse 6, go ahead.
Verse 6. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrew children.
Right, Moses was a Hebrew. He was an Israelite of the tribe of Levi. See that? So she recognized. And so what does she do? Verse 8.
Verse 8.
Verse 9, read.
Verse 9. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it.
That was his mother. His mother nursed him up. Go ahead.
And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called his name Moses, and she said, Because I drew him out of the water.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, and looked on their burdens, and he spied on the Egyptians, smiting and Hebrew one of his brethren.
Right. And he killed that Hebrew brother, and then Pharaoh found out, and Moses fled. Now, when Moses fled, he came into Midian, and we're going to start that right here, verse 16.
Verse 16. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
Okay, and Moses stood up to help them, and then they came home early. He said, How that you have come so soon today? And verse 19, read.
And they said, And the Egyptians did deliver us out of the land, out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
Wait a minute, they called Moses an Egyptian. Because he still had the Egyptian clothes on. See? So, they called him Egyptian. Why? Because he looked like one. Because he was dressed like Egyptian, but he was black. Now, we got 2 more verses here I want to read. Chapter 4 of Exodus.
The book of Exodus, chapter 4, beginning at verse 2. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thy hand?
Now, Moses before the Lord, and he's going to send him back to Israel. And he's been 40 years in the wilderness, in the desert, and he sent them back. So he said, and the Lord said, Put forth thy hand. And he put the forth, and the rod turned to a snake, and he said, Pick it up by the tail. You don't pick up a snake by the tail, you pick it by the head. And that was it. Now, because he said, How do you going to believe me? So, verse 6, read.
Verse 6.
Verse 5 and 6, read.
Verse 5. That they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob had appeared unto me. And the Lord said furthermore to him, Put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hands was leprous as snow.
It was white as snow. Clean leprosy turns you white. You got 2 types of leprosy. The one where your sores and your skin and stuff fall off. That's not this leprosy. The leprosy will turn you white. But go ahead and read.
And he said, Put thy hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as another flesh.
Wait a minute.
As his other flesh.
What color was his other flesh? Black. Read verse 8.
And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign.
So it must have been a great dramatic change, isn't it? He said, if they don't believe the first, they surely going to believe that second one. So, from white as a leper to black as, or distinctive colors, people. Now, go to Psalms 105. This is our last verse. This is part 1 of color. I'm gonna take it from here all the way through to Paul and the apostles next week. So we're going to finish off here in Psalms 105, and we're going to start in verse 23, 26, and 27.
The book of Psalms, chapter 105, verse 23. Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
Wait a minute. Israel did what? Came into Egypt. They wasn't born there. They wasn't raised in Egypt because they came into where? The land of Ham. They were not Hamites. Go down to verse 26 and 27 and read.
Verse 26. He said, Moses, his servant, and Aaron, whom he had chosen, they showed his signs among them and the wonders in the land of Ham.
In the land of Ham, because Egypt was the land of Ham. Verse 27.
Verse 27. They showed his sign among them and wonders in the land of Ham. He said darkness and made it dark.
Right. In the land of Ham, people. So I got one more thing I want to read to you here. We're going to read a couple things right quick. I forgot. Read Ham right here.
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptian, Ethiopian, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Wait a minute. That's out of Zolomon's Compact Dictionary. Not the Negro. What Negro come from? You got to either come out of Gentile, Ham, or Shem. He came out of Shem, brother. See? Look at this here. Oh, look at here. Read this part. Now, I'm going to start off next week with this, but I'm going to start next week. I'm going to let you go now. But I hope somebody got something from this, and go back and look at it yourself. Read it. Go study it. And find out more about your history, brother. And everybody find out about the truth of the Bible so you can put this thing together and understand the prophecies better. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.